what I was saying, right? So before entering into the IAM route, you can cover one small topic which is called root user, which is the root user. Root user is nothing but for example, till now we are into the root user. See here, so I go here and I click on sign out. Every day, if you are logging in, we are just logging in as a see here. Every day we are logging in as a root user. There is one more user called IAM user. There is one more user called IAM user. So we are not sure what this IAM user is still now. We are not sure what this IAM user is still now. So, but we only know what is a root user. Root user, see here, the account owner perform tasks which require unrestricted access. There is no restriction to perform any task. This root user can perform any task. This root user can perform any task. There is no restriction in performing the task. Suppose, like I can say it is an administrator access. I can say it is an administrator access. Any task he can perform, there is no, you can even create an instance, you can delete an instance, you can terminate or pass or stop, or any actions he can do. You can create a bucket, you can delete a bucket, like every access he has. So I can say he is an administrator access. I can say he is an administrator access, and the account owner which will they perform, which will perform unrestricted access. So we can simply call it a administrator access, and we don't have any restrictions as well. Or I can also call him as super or powerful user. I can also call him as super or the powerful user. Okay. So, but my question is, so in your organization, if you are joining any new organization, you will be a root user or IAM user. That is what our next question. You will be a root user or IAM user. So definitely we will be an IAM user. We are into any organization. We will not be a root user. We will be a IAM user. Restriction. There will be a restriction to some of the services. Like I cannot give as an organization, I cannot give each and every people the administrator access, because if they terminate my instance or if they delete my bucket, the entire process has been gone, right? The whole data has been gone. So no one will have an access except few more architect level peoples or administration level people only will have an admin access. Other than that, you don't have any access. You can come in and do some works and then you can log off. Other than that, you cannot terminate the instance. You cannot create an instance. You cannot create a bucket. So everything would have been restricted in real time. Everything would have been restricted in real time because due to the security. So even by mistake, if you have deleted any instance or any data, the entire data crashes, right? So we don't have access to that and all. So only the senior peoples or the architect level peoples would have been having an access to that. And so in as a daily user, we will be an IAM user. Let's come to IAM. What is meant by IAM user later and all. So let's take one example as Gmail itself. What I'm going to do, I'm going to secure my account itself. I'm going to secure my root user account. Till now, how we are logging on, email address and password. That is our security. So even Gmail, if you try to log it right, they are having multiple security. They are having, first we need to enter the username. Then I need to enter the password. Then they will have an OTP, or they also have some tap yes on your mobile. They also have tap yes your mobile. And like this, they have an additional security. But what our Amazon AWS account has security? There is no security. We are just entering the username and password. There is no security in order to do this. So in order to do this, what I need to do, I need to add some additional security. I need to add the extra layer of security to our account. We need to add the extra layer of security to our root user account. We need to have the extra layer. So we would have heard like MFA, one term called MFA. MFA is nothing but it is a multi-factor authentication. MFA is nothing but it is a multi-factor authentication where we need to enable or add some additional security to our AWS account, to our AWS account. By default, again, it will be disabled in your AWS account. By default, it will be disabled. By default, it will be disabled in your AWS account. Okay. So what I will do, I will go to Amazon.in. I will log in as a root user. So click on next. Go for password. By default, the multi-factor authentication will be enabled. In order to enable this, go here, tap under your name. There is a drop down. There's an option called security credentials. There is an option called security credentials. Click on this. Click on this. And so see here, by default, MFA is not activated for this root user. So the root user for this account does not have the multi-factor authentication activated. So activate MFA in order to improve the security for this account. So we need to activate the MFA. There is an option called assign MFA. There is an option called assign MFA. We can give any name, device name as MFA device. Can give as MFA device. See, we can do anywhere like doing some authenticator app or by doing some security or any hardware token. See here, this is on hardware token. So even we can select this. If your organization is providing this hardware token, you can even select this. What it look like. See here. So even the non-IT or any BPO kind of peoples also will be having this in their ID card. They will be having this in their hanging in their ID card. What it will do every time if they log in, every time if they want to log in, there will be a button. If you press, the random number will be generated. If you enter the random number in your machine only, it will allow you to sign in. For example, if you are not bringing this to today office, if you are not bringing this token to office today, again you are not able to sign in. What you need to, we need to call someone at home and ask them to press this button, and there will be a number. You need to get that number, then only you can log into your application. Like it is a security, additional security. Without this, you cannot log in on that day. You need to either go home and get the token, or you need to call and get the displayed number on the screen. So it is an additional security. By the same way, this is the hardware token. Either you can pass some security key, or we can either use the authenticator app as well, or we can either use the authenticator app as well. So for authenticator app, so I'll click on next. For authenticator app, I'll click on next. See here, install a compatible application like Google Authenticator or any Duo Mobile or any RT app and all. You can see here, see a list of compatible application, which and all it is compatible for your machine. So see here for Android and iOS. In your mobile, you can download any of the app, either Twilio RT Authenticator or Duo Mobile or LastPass Authenticator or Microsoft. Google is something, it is an open source. So in company, maybe they will be preferring this Duo Mobile or Twilio or Microsoft, like based upon your organization requirement. If you want, you can download the Duo Mobile on your mobile. So just go to your Play Store and download any mobiles over here. Just go to your Play Store and download any app like Twilio Authenticator, Duo Mobile, any app you can download. Once you download the app, click on the show QR code, scan in your mobile. So in that app, there will be an option called scan. So if you scan only, you are scanning only, then only you can able to log it. So maybe I've already done this. So I'm just marking as 165003. So it is the OTP which is given me in my application. This is the OTP which is given in my application. Okay. I need to wait for another code as well. So after 30 seconds only the another code will be displayed. One more code generated, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Okay, 1 minute. I'll add this. Download the app and there will be an option called add a device. Click on that add a device and just scan this QR code. Once you scan the QR code, so it will ask for the password and all. I'm setting the password. Give me a minute. It has been generated through a new password. 7287. Click on add MFA. See here, now MFA like device has been assigned to your account. MFA device has been assigned to your account. This is your account ID and email address and everything. So what I will do, I'll log out this. I'll sign out now. If I try to log back in, it will ask for the username. Usually it will ask for the username. I'm just entering the username, clicking on next. So sometimes it will prompt for the captcha. So enter the captcha. It will ask for the password. See here, after entering and password, it is asking for the MFA code. It is asking for an MFA code. Since we have secured our account using the multi-factor authentication, we need to enter the code or the number which is displaying in your app, then only it will need to sign in. If I don't have this app or app has been uninstalled or app has been crashed, again, we cannot log into your AWS account itself. We need to download that app again. We need to set up on configuration. Then only we can able to access. So that you can able to access. So now the code displayed in my screen or mobile is 024765. Now click on submit. See here. Once then only I can able to log. Once then only I can able to log into my account. So here my account has been secured with the multi-factor authentication. My account has been secured with multi-factor authentication so that it is an additional security. In order to protect my account. So this is what the multi-factor authentication is. Then next only we are going to see as an IAM user. IAM is nothing but it is an identity access management. Identity access management. Identity access. Who and all will have an access. Who and all will don't have an access based upon your identity, based upon your position. Who and all will have an access to the services. Who and all will not having an access to the services. They will be giving in the process of IAM. They will be giving in the process of IAM. See, some user, for example, there are multiple users in your account or in your project. There may be a 5 developers, there may be a 5 testers or 2 DevOps guys, and everyone will be available. But identity and access management, it is of they will be splitting in the form of authentication and authorization. They will be splitting in the form of authentication as well as authorization. So what I will do, authentication, I'll explain first. What is meant by authentication? Authentication is nothing but you are validating your identity. Authentication is nothing but you are validating your identity. What is meant by validating the identity? Okay, I'll give an example. So if you are working in an organization, so in order to enter into that organization building, what I need to have? In order to enter into that organization building, what proof I need to have? Guys, what proof I need to have in order to enter into that building? Guys, what should I have in order to enter into that building? Guys. Guys, sorry that.
Yeah.
You
need the
ID
access
card. Yes,
Yeah.
access card or ID card in order to enter into the building. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is the entry level. That is the authentication. They are checking your authentication, whether you are an authenticated employee, whether you are an authenticated student in order to enter your college, whether you are an authenticated employee in order to enter into a premises. That is authentication. But authorization is nothing but we are validating the access. We are validating the access. So in an organization, even if you enter into the building, there might be a multiple rooms. They will call as ODC. There will be a multiple rooms. So in every there will be a different projects. For example, if you enter into CPS, there are more than 1,000 projects. So you can enter into the CPS building, but you cannot enter into every project rooms. Every project rooms you cannot enter because every project has its own security. You cannot directly go and enter into the premises or room. You have access only to your project room. Your project room only you have access. So you don't have an access to other people's project room as well. So due to the security, you are not authorized in order to enter into your other projects. Due to your security, you are not authorized in order to enter into the other project rooms. Okay, I'll give one more example. We'll go for office. So in order to enter into the building, we are checking the identity card. So that is authentication. So you are an authenticated user. That has been success. You are an authenticated user. But if you want to meet your company CEO, or if you want to meet your general manager or any CTO, we cannot go directly and meet them, right? We need to have get the permission. We need to schedule a meeting. Then only we can meet them. So if you directly enter, if you try to enter it directly into the room, you are not authorized. You will be stopped. So that is called authorization. You don't have an authorization in order to enter somewhere or in order to do any actions over there. So we have authentication and authorization. Authentication is nothing but it is validating your identity, but authorization is nothing but we are validating an access. Even though you are an authenticated user, but you are not an authorized user in order to enter the CTO room or CEO room, or you are not authorized to do any things over here. Yeah, that is authentication and authorization. So for example, I give an example. We have one file. I have one file. Maybe which is an shared file. In the shared drive, I have given this file. I have one file which I given as shared drive. So in my project, there are 10 members. My project, there are 10 members. So here, five peoples having the view access. Google Sheets, right? So there will be two options: read and write access. So if I share your Google Sheet, I need to give your write access. Then only you can do any changes in this Excel sheet. If you don't have an access, you cannot do any changes in the Excel sheet. If you don't have an access, you cannot do any changes in the Excel sheet. Okay. So if I don't give us write access, you can at least see what are the data available in that Google Sheet. If I give you a read access, you can see what is available in that Excel sheet, but you cannot modify anything. But if I give read and write access, you can read that read the data, and also you can modify the existing data in the Excel sheet. Correct. So this is a read and write access. Read is nothing but You can just view the data. You can access the data, but you cannot modify or do any changes or include the data, anything in the Excel sheet or the Google sheet. So because I have given only the read access to you, but the write access is nothing but you can read the data as well as you can modify or you can insert or you can delete any data from your Google sheet. So out of this, the three peoples have read and write access. Three peoples have read and write access. And two peoples no access. Even they cannot even see or read the data. If they are not able to read the data, then they are not going to even write the data. So if they don't have an access to read, definitely they will not be having an access to write the data. So my question is here, how much authenticated user? Guys, I need to you to answer. This I need to know how much authenticated user is here, and I need to know how much authorized user is here. Need to know how much authenticated user and how much authorized user is here. Is out of this 10 people, how much are authenticated user? How many people are authorized users?
10 people are authenticated people.
10 are authenticated. How 10? Because these two don't have any access. These two don't have even read access. If you don't have read access, definitely is not going to have the write access. Totally, I can say all 8 are authenticated users. These 8 peoples are authenticated users. These 8 peoples are authentication users. Then how many authorized users? How many authorized users? I need to know how many.
Only 3.
Correct.
3 users
Only
are authenticated.
3 users are authorized users. So out of 8, everyone have an access to that Excel sheet. Everyone has access to that Excel sheet or file or the shared drive. But only 3 are authorized to do some changes. Only 3 are authorized to do some changes in that sheet. And 2 doesn't have any access. And the 2 people that doesn't have any access. 2 people doesn't have any access to that particular file. So they are not authenticated as well as authorized users. They are not authenticated as well as authorized users as well. So in IAM service, we have 4 elements. One is IAM user, one is IAM user, one is roles, another one is groups, another one is groups, and I can have say the policies as well. So there are 4 elements: IAM user, roles, groups, and policies. IAM user, roles, groups, and policies. So under the authentication, who and all will be coming, right? So this IAM user and roles will be coming under the part of authentication. Policies will be coming under the part of authorization. Policies will be coming under the part of authorization. So groups alone is there now. So group, which means the best practices. It is not mandatory and all. It is a best practices, recommended practices in order to use the group. If you are not using the group also, that is not an issue. But I'll explain what is IAM user, roles, policies, and groups and all. But as of now, authentication, IAM user and roles will come under the authentication, and policies will come under the authorization, and groups will come under the best practice. Rules will come under the best practice. So, which means IAM is nothing but, as I initially said, IAM is nothing but authentication plus authorization. Authentication plus and authorization. Under the authentication, we have user and the roles. User and the roles. Under the authorization, we have a policies. Under the authorization, we have a policies, which means user policies. I can even simply say who can access what. can just say who can access what, who and all can access what type of permissions or what types of services or what type of access they have. So this is the IAM. IAM is a combination of authentication plus authorization. Authentication is nothing but user or roles. Authorization is nothing but the policies, which means I can even say user policies or roles policies. So simply we can call it as who can access what. Simply we can call it as who can access what services or what permissions do they have. That is called IAM. IAM is nothing but who can access what. There's any doubt in this till now?
No.
Then who is nothing? Whoever it is making a call, whoever is trying to access. So who is that? Whoever is making a call. It may be either a user or any other service or any application. So maybe a user or service or application. So access in the sense it is a set of instruction. We are going to give a set of instruction which will either allow or deny the user, either allow or deny the access. If this user is trying to create on EC2 instance, in this access, I'm going to deny it. See, you don't have an access to create an instance or terminate the instance and all. You can come in daily, you can work in that instance, but you don't have an access to delete the instance or terminate or do some modification. That access I am not giving you. So that is the access. See, you can come in and add some files in the S3, but you don't have an access to create a bucket. You don't have an access to create a files from the bucket. You don't have an access to do any changes to the bucket. You can come in and see what is the data available and you can do any work, but you don't have an access to create or delete or any update, any new changes to the bucket. That is the access I'm going to give you. So either if it is an authorized user, I'm going to allow it, or else I will be denying them. So, and what? Who is accessing what bits, what services they are going to access, either the AWS services or any resources. So if some user comes to access any services from the AWS using this access, I'm going to either allow or deny it. I'm going to either allow or deny it. If it is an authorized user, I'm not going to allow it. If it is not an authorized, definitely I'm going to deny it, because I cannot give all permissions to each and everyone in the team member. It may highly risk to security issues, because even like if they are not willing to work, because if they are in a paper period also, they would have, if they deleted any instance or anything, what will happen? So entire data will be crashed, right? So you don't have an access and all. So everyone will be having an IAM user in your organization. You are not an like the root user and all. Root user is a super user or the powerful users. So we are an IAM users in our organizations. Okay. So as a whole, root user is nothing but he is an authenticated as well as authorized users. He is authenticated and authorized. We have all authentication access. We have all authorization access. You can say he is an super access. He is a super access. But IAM user, we have an authentication. We have an authentication to log into AWS account until the root user gives the permission. Until root user gives the permission. Until root user gives the permission. So you will just log in, but you cannot perform any tasks until this root user, he is going to assign the IAM user. He is going to create, for example, in a project, there is a lead. So he will be a root user, or your project manager or your architect will be a root user. He will be creating a different IAM users and they will be assigning to you. You'll be creating different IAM users and you'll be creating. He is going to give you the access. See, for example, maybe let's consider an example. Team lead, he is a root user. He is a user. Under him, there are 5 developers. Under him, 5 developers. So what he thinks, right? So everyone are IAM user. That 5 developers are an IAM user. That 5 developers are not a root user. IAM user or not a root user, an IAM user. Definitely, even though they are developers, they are an IAM user. Out of this, he thinks only 2 can have 2 are senior people. So consider 2 developers are senior people. So what the root user is thinking, team lead is thinking, we can give him some more additional authorization to these 2 developers. So he can give, which means the root user can give additional permissions to them in order to do some actions, like maybe a custom permission. You can create a own policy. Like see here, there are 2 senior developers. They will have an access to create an EC2. They will access to terminate an EC2. That access and all they will be giving. I thought of giving to my development team. But 3 developers is still they are junior developers. I don't want to give them an authorization to all the access and all. To some particular instance only or to particular access only, I will be giving particular access only. I will be giving him because I don't want to give everyone a root user access or a super access and all. I am thinking these 2 guys are very, very senior most in this project. So even if they have, definitely I am thinking it is not an issue. So I am giving some additional permission, not like root user permissions, some additional permission, extra privileges. But these 3 will not have any authorization. They will come and work in, they will log off. Definitely they won't have an access to create or delete or modify any services action. So that is the root user versus the IAM user. Root user is a super user. IAM user is nothing but it has been created by the root user. IAM user, who is the owner of IAM users? Root user. Under the root user account only, you are going to create an IAM user. Under the root user account only, we are going to create an IAM user. Okay. Okay, guys. I don't want to. Yeah, tell me.
No, sure.
Okay, yes, I don't want to enter into this IAM because it is important. So let's continue on Monday. Let's others watch this recording. And okay, yes, thank you. It's back on Monday.
Can you share that YouTube's links you told uploaded in the?
Yeah, I will share now. I will text and share now.
Yeah, okay.